Thank you for being here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Lib Dems, and I'm the rector here, and I'm simply here to chair this evening. And to avoid bias as much as possible, then as much as can be will be random in order and in how we do things. So, in a moment, I'll ask each of the candidates in turn just to make statements for 3 or 4 minutes about themselves and their party's policies, to set out the stall of why we should vote for them. And I have asked you, in those statements in particular, please, just on yourselves, your own party's policies, not everyone else's. We'll then have roughly an hour to ask questions. We've been given a lot of questions, so we may well not get through them all. And I'll try and get a good mix of those questions. Many apologies if your question does not get asked this evening. I will ask you, this may feel like the pot calling the kettle black, a vicar talking to politicians to say, let's keep it short. But we've been trying to keep, especially answer the questions, concise, so we get through as many as we can, because we have got about a dozen questions that we would like to ask. We don't need to get through all of them if we can't. And then at the end, for the last quarter of an hour, I'll ask you again simply to sum up what you feel is the most important point you want people to take away from this evening, to set up the stall for why we should vote for each of you. So once again, thank you and welcome. And to try and, so we know where we're going, I'm going to put the coloured cards here. They'll be shuffled in between each question. Emma, can you go first on the statement? And then Star, Darren, Ian, and then Becky, that's okay? I will keep time, and I'll give you a 1 minute warning. So if I knock on the table, it's not I'm trying to come in, that's your 1 minute warning, so please do stick with that, so we're not still here at midnight. Thank you. Emma.
Okay, good evening everybody, and a big thank you to you for coming out this evening to the Hustings, and a big thank you to Reverend Nick Watson and Joanna as well, I know has been publicising this event. My name's Emma Reynolds. I've been your MP for the past 5 years, and I grew up locally. I'm a local girl, and it's been a great privilege to represent you and my hometown in Parliament over that time. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons, brief reasons, to vote to re-elect me as your MP and to vote Labour on the 7th of May. The first is that I have prioritised over this time attracting investment and jobs to the local area, and those are my key priorities. I worked with the local council to bring Jaguar Land Rover to the outskirts of Wolverhampton. That's been a terrific shot in the arm for the city, bringing 1,400 new jobs directly and many more in the supply chain and wider economy. I've also been badgering the current government to make sure that we can regenerate the city centre. Particularly, I've been lobbying for and campaigning for a new train station for Wolverhampton, because I think that whole area needs improvement. Having grown up in Wolverhampton, I've seen it change over the years. And I'm passionate about manufacturing more generally. I re-established and chair the aerospace all-party group in Parliament, and our aerospace sector is really vibrant in Wolverhampton, and one that I want to see to continue to go from strength to strength. The second reason is the NHS. I want to see the NHS be able to deal with the challenges that we face. It's a cause for great celebration that people are living longer, but with a growing population and people living longer, the NHS is under great strain and pressure. And our party has a fully costed plan to invest in the NHS and to bring in thousands more doctors, GPs, nurses, home care workers and midwives over the next few years. But also Andy Burnham, our Shadow Health Secretary, has set out a 10-year plan for the NHS, because let's be frank about this, we have long-term challenges that we need to address, and particularly something that I really care about and I think is really important is the integration between the NHS and social care, because at the moment if you come out of hospital and you have to go into some sort of residential home, you're pulled from pillar to post and your family's pulled from pillar to post, having to deal with different people and different agencies and different this and different the other. So we need to make sure that we have a whole person approach to the NHS so that those transitions, if somebody is not well but getting better, out of hospital, perhaps into care or into their own home, is something that is less stressful than it is at the moment. And the final reason is that I'm passionate about making sure that we have a more equal society. I don't want to live in a country where people have to resort to food banks to put food on the table. I want to make sure that the economy and the recovery that we hear about is felt in people's pockets, not just in the dry statistics. One of our party's key priorities is to make sure that the energy market, which frankly is not competitive for lots of different reasons, is reformed, and so we're going to cap electricity and gas bills for a short period while we reform the market so it gives you better value for money and that you can tell who's giving you a fair deal. And as Shadow Housing Minister, if Labour get into power, I would be the Housing Minister. I want to make sure that the next generation can do as well as their parents, if not better than their parents, and make sure that all of you who have kids or grandchildren have the confidence that they will have a better future. Thank you.
How's that for timing? Well done. Start.
Okay, well, I'm Star Etheridge, and you can probably tell I'm not from this neck of the woods. I moved down towards Wolverhampton about 8 years ago. I come from a small little village up in Ramsbottom, up in North Lancashire, where we have a little train and everything. My background is that as a very young child, I grew up on a council estate, not having very much of anything. I've worked my way, my socks off through my education, and I've taken every single bit of help that people have given me along the way, and I managed to qualify as a solicitor. I've got a degree through postgraduate diploma, so I'm quite, interested in education. I've got 3 children and a foster son. I'm a disability activist. Obviously, I just can't give that away. I'm also married. I'm heading out of that. And I found out before that I'm a Liberal Democrat from all that same band nearly. Now, as for my party's policies, well, my key one is one that I brought to the party and one that's in our manifesto, is that the work capability assessments for people who are not well, they will be scrapped. And your own doctor or specialist will send a note to the DWP saying you were fit to work or they were not. This will end all of this problem with Atos, Maximus and Capita, and it will save a lot of money. Now I'm very proud of that because that's my policy and my party chose to take it on. So that's something I've done. My party is also going to invest £3 billion into the NHS, which will give more doctors, nurses, midwives, which we all know is needed. And as we've seen with the closure of some of the hospitals further up in Stafford and everything else, there's more. Wolverhampton and Newcastle are expecting 700 more ladies per year to give birth there, and there aren't enough midwives. That is a disgrace. Now, our budget has been fully costed by the CBR, and it was paid for by not having a vanity project of the HS2. We would also remove ourselves from the EU, so our £55 million a day will be back in the pockets of our country to be used for people who live here. And we'd also lower foreign aid. We would give aid to any disaster. That is a natural, normal thing to do. But to give aid where the dictators of certain countries use it for flying their own jets and mansions, no, I'm sorry. That's not what the aid is for. And the third thing is our education policy. We wouldn't close any more special schools. In fact, we've got to open them. We also want to bring back grammar schools and have vocational education be treated in society as equal as academic education. Because we all need each other, we all need skills, and those skills should be praised no matter which side you stay of the academic divide you're on. So that's me, and thank you for listening.
Darren.
Hello, Reverend Nick, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Darren Henry. I spent a lot of years in the military, and now I run a business with expanding from 100 people that we've got at the moment. I think at the heart of being an effective MP is really the focus on the community, and the community you represent, like I had responsibility for Royal Air Force communities as well. And what I'd like to encourage is devolving power, finances, down as low as possible to the lowest level, so that local communities are in control of their destiny. They understand their local environment, rather than having all of the decisions made in a centralised way, in centralised government, and very remote. I'll say crime is down in England and Wales by a quarter since 2010. So some of these communities should start feeling safer and safer going forward into the future. The strong economy we have is the envy of Europe and the world at the moment. And it's been a transformation from what we inherited in 2010. 5 years, only 5 years, to cut the deficit in half. The key to it is employment. 1.9 million more people employed in this country. And in Wolverhampton North East, there are 1,800 fewer people claiming job seekers allowance. Now I know the subject of poverty is going to come up. There is no doubt people are struggling, for sure. And all of us, all candidates here, want to do something about it. The difference is our approach to tackling that. Take child poverty, for example. The Conservative strategy will be to tackle it at source. Worklessness, family breakdown, and educational failure, which blight the lives of vulnerable children. There is light at the end of the tunnel. 300,000 fewer children living in child poverty are living in a household where no one has a job than in 2010. The lowest since records began 18 years ago. Pupil premium we brought in. Extended free childcare for 2-year-olds. And now most recently parents are able to have 30 hours free childcare, or we were offering that, for 3 to 4-year-olds. That's £5,000 a year that we're investing in that. Free schools. Now I've got 2 daughters, and one of them is at a free school. Absolutely fantastic headmistress, striving to make academy state, multi-academy status, and be in charge of that, which is driving good practices within the school. It is a Church of England faith school, and I'm a governor of that school. And now what I'm thinking about is what the future of my children. A strong economy means that we can make monumental decisions like spending £8 billion on the National Health Service. That's what we're promising, because we have a strong economy to start with. If our children want to get a job, there are more jobs out there. They're going to get a job. They want to go to apprenticeships, 3 million more apprenticeships. They want to go to university, then there's no cap on people who go to university. There's no cap on the numbers. These are the things that make a brighter future. And hand on heart, I want to vote Conservative because of that. How would you vote?
Thanks, Darren. Ian.
Well, thank you, Nick, and thanks again to everyone who's come along tonight to listen. It's good to see that the old habit of coming along to public meetings in general elections seems to be coming back, and I think it's excellent. So thanks again. Those who don't know me, and why should you, I'm from Abergavenny in South Wales, came here in 1969, and ever since in Wolverhampton I've loved this city. Very fond of it. My kids went to school in the city. In fact, one of them did well enough as a result of, I think, because of the diversity of Wolverhampton, and she's gone on to become a member of the Welsh Assembly. So I'm very pleased and proud of what this city's done for me and my family. I run a small business in Wolverhampton, and I live, work and trade in the area, so I'm very familiar with commerce around here. But my politics is based on my faith. I'm a practicing Methodist and steward of Fort Houses Methodist Church, and I'm strongly, and this undermines my whole politics. We're all God's children. So when you think about people being washed ashore on Mediterranean beaches, or people on benefits in this city, we have to remember we're all God's children. I joined the Liberal Party in 1973 when a guy approached me in Lichfield Street and said, "Would you like to join the Liberal Party?" And I said, "All right." So I did. And I've been a member ever since. The constitution of the Liberal Party then, and it does now, says, in all things put freedom first. That's one good reason why I'm a Liberal. But also I believe in social justice. Fairness, if you like. It's not right that some people can evade tax, whilst others have to go to one of the, well, there are 11 food banks in Wolverhampton. Now, at this general election, we are the only party to offer stability economically by addressing the budget deficit whilst also defending the interests of everyone, particularly from the threat of huge 30 billion cuts from the Tories. I noticed that today, by the way, the Institute of Fiscal Studies said, and I quote, "The Liberal Democrats have been more transparent than the other parties about the overall fiscal plans for the next Parliament, in particular setting these out in some detail after 2017-18, when they intend to achieve a current budget surplus. So we will end austerity by 2017-18 by keeping the economy strong in the meantime. There are those who say we should end austerity now. I wish it could be so. I also wish we could all cancel our credit card debts. But it can't be done. No, the sooner we sort out the deficit, and we can do it in about 2.5 years, then the sooner we'll be able to enjoy the fruits of growth. But the growth has to be sustainable. I'm proud of what we've done in government. The Green Investment Bank, which the Liberal Democrats have created, which has backed over 45 green infrastructure projects, committing 1.8 billion to the UK's green economy. I'm astounded that other parties want to turn their backs on the problems caused by carbon pollution and start digging more coal mines. Overall then, we'll balance the budget by 2018, continue to cut income tax, take the threshold up to 12,500, increase spending on the NHS by the £8 billion it needs, according to the NHS, not 2.5. And picking up from our pupil premium, we will ensure a qualified teacher in every classroom and invest in nursery schools and colleges. The last Liberal MP for this constituency, for Wolverhampton East, was Gerald Mander, and he left in 1945. I'm hoping he might make it another one for us in 2015. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Becky.
Good evening, my name is Becky. I stand for the Green Party. I'm 40 years old and I've lived in Wolverhampton all my life. And I've lived in Wednesfield for the last 17 years, so I know both the joys and the frustrations of living around here. So my background, I've worked stacking shelves, cleaning toilets, serving people in retail, and I've been a teacher for the last 17 years. The Green Party believes that whatever we do, whether it's having a job, raising a family, or caring for a relative, everyone deserves a decent quality of life, and for those that work a secure job and a real living wage. The Green Party will stop zero-hour contracts and increase the minimum wage rising to £10 an hour by 2020. We will look at implementing a basic citizen income of £73 a week for every citizen over the age of 16. Why am I standing? I live around here, so I want to feel safe walking the streets. I want to know I have easy access to good quality and free healthcare if I need it. I want to feel secure in my job. I want to know I'll get a retirement and a decent pension at the end of it. And I want the same for my pupils in future generations. Most of all, I want the real benefit cheap to start with, those who avoid paying the tax they should do, which are causing our services to be cut as a result. We've been told that the cuts are necessary. They're not. 5 families in the UK are worth more than 12 million citizens, so the Green Party will get serious about collecting tax. We'll invest in young people's services, youth clubs and training. There'll be free transport for young people and students, so that more people can actually go out and socialise. And there will be a 10% reduction in bus fares. I want the choice not to use my car on Saturday. I used to go on the bus, but now I pay £1 to park on Sainsbury's and save myself a £4.40 bus fares. I prefer not to have the shiny new train station being proposed, but a publicly owned one instead, with cheap trains that are reliable and safe to use, and HS2 trains scrapped, which the Greens will do. The Green Party will have a controlled but fair immigration policy, tackle climate change, and for us fracking is not an option. I think I'm the only candidate here to have signed the Greenpeace frack-free promise. We'll build 500,000 social rented homes by 2020. Scrapping is vital at Northern interest allowance for private landlords and capital rents. We'll also scrap the unfair headroom tax. We'll bring academies and preschools back into local control and stop private education, so that everyone has access to quality education regardless of their family income or postcode. In some areas of Wolverhampton, 40% of people have no formal qualifications. You'll see that our NHS is free and properly funded, but not privatised, and we will stop tilting. If I am elected on a national level, my priority will be to see that tax avoidance is tackled, the privatisation of the NHS and TTIP is stopped, and on a local level, I will fight to stop the unnecessary cuts to our public services. Thank you.
Thank you very much.